7 is public comments.
Lenita couldn't be here tonight, but in your packets, there's a written letter from her. And I was under the impression that Crystal Levy was going to be here, but I haven't seen or heard from her.
Number 8, discussion and vote to amend or not amend the 2014-2015 valedictorian salutatorian policy.
You all know what this is about. This is really about the ACT score, and what needs to happen is if you choose that, you want to change that, you all need to discuss that. Then from there, there needs to be a motion or a lack of motion. And of course, if there's a motion, that's to change it to whatever you all have agreed to change it to. And if you all have talked and that you feel like this should stay the way it is, then it's an item that fails for lack of motion being done. Those are your options. Do I need to give any background again about why? It is a Cherokee high school only thing. It was a type of situation that we were trying to set rigor and basically expectations that, we would, try to set a higher bar, and, whether or not it's fair or not, left to be decided. But, other schools do weighted programs, and, the whole purpose was not every child goes down the same road to get the same score at the end. So.
In my thoughts, each student that gets to that 4.0 level has done something to get to that point. You know what I mean? They've attained something that several others haven't.
Yeah. I was just saying, I agree with what you're saying, but I mean, if they take, fairly easy classes to obtain that 4.0, I don't feel like it's.
What if, okay, as a board, let me think. I don't know what I want to say, but how to say it.
Right.
Well, I hate to change something we've got a rule made down there right now, and I don't know how long it's been that way. I just got on board, but I would assume we need to let that ride for just a little bit.
Actually, it was changed last year.
It was changed last year. Okay.
Shortly before the end of the year, so I really feel like at this time, I don't think it would be wise to, this is going to be a continuing pattern. Every year, we're going to see this if we don't.
We've got to stick to something somewhere.
Yeah.
So, that's just my opinion.
That's my opinion.
Well, our standards are high, and I don't see a problem with our standards being high. But if a student takes all the courses that it's required to take, and then some, not taking the easy road, to obtain the 4.0, who are we to say that we should punish that child for working for 4 years to obtain a 4.0 average? And certain students aren't good at taking certain tests. I don't know what 24, we set at 24. And in fact, we set at 24 because we left it at 24. We did not change that last year. That was the same. And if we're setting it at 24 and we're setting it higher than any, at least these 4 colleges, and then one Kansas college, we're really, honestly, in my opinion, we are hurting that student in more ways than one. Because if a college does not require but a 20, what, Northwestern wants a 20, Southwestern wants 20, OSU is 21, OU is 21, and Heston is 19. Your average here is 20, 21 and a half, or 20 and a half. I mean, my opinion is why not lower that to what the college requirements are. That's just my opinion.
Guys, I think we gotta leave it alone. Taking a test is part of life, okay? That's just how it goes, you know. Can't help that. But,
I mean,
and she could still make the test. I mean, there's still, you know, she could still take the test and make it yet. I mean, the hope's not gone there. She could still take it
I understand
and
that,
improve her
but
score.
a college is only required 20 and we're asking 24. And the amount of money that the difference is a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Well, just, again, I don't know where she got the 21 and 21 on OU and OSU
I thought it was 24.
because we were told for the salutatorian and valedictorian that they wouldn't look at anything less than a 24 now. You know, they're a research university, and both of them are, and you know, we felt like, you know, when we came up with that properly showed what a salutatorian or valedictorian can do. Are we sending our best? Do we want to send a valedictorian from Cherokee that's only got a 20? Is ultimately what you have to decide. And then on top of that, is 3 months out, when we've gone through the rules, you know, the whole year, changing it for each student on a per basis, is that what we want to do?
Every year.
My recommendation is, and I made this recommendation last year, is if this needs to be changed, you all want us to look into this, the time to change it's over the summer, and then coming in August when they sign those books, they know what the expectation is. I don't doubt that this doesn't need to be looked at. That's really not the question. The question is the time. Are we going to do this every time that somebody questions whether or not we're trying to set a bar and a high expectations? At some point, you know, we are going to have to say no.
Yeah. I just feel like if it's in the policy, we need to adhere to it because, I mean, they could come out, I mean, that's why we have a policy. So we can, you know, we can have something that we can stand on, so.
And I agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that. I mean, I don't doubt what Mr. Ellis said, but I agree with what Mr. Ellis said. It does need to be changed. And it probably needs to be changed at the proper time. I will say that.
I would agree.
Still through that discussion, are we choosing to not make a motion and therefore maintain it?
Well, all you need to do is ask for, is there a motion on this motion?
I'm going to ask 3 times, just to follow on parliamentary. Is there a motion on the floor? Do I have a motion? If none, we will read the policy as stated and we'll move on to number 9.
You want to ask a question?
Yes?
Do you want to vote to not amend it, like it says there on the minutes, to amend or not
I
amend?
would make a motion to not amend.
You can do it either way. You can leave it, that there was no.
That's how I thought we would.
You make a motion not?
I make a motion not to amend it, to leave it as is.
Okay, Ms. Eason made a motion to not amend.
I'll second that.
Jeff is seconding. Judy, call the vote, please.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Eller?
No.
Willhite?
Yes. Okay, number 9, administrative reports.
Jeremy, do you have something you want to say?
elementary basketball season is over. And junior high has one more game next Monday at Burlington. It'll be their final game of the year. Some positive things, the boys won the Cherokee Invitational Tournament back the 1st of January, and then they also won the Cherokee Strip Tournament meeting. The high school speech team brought home 2 trophies from the Northwestern Tournament. All 3 academic teams are still competing. We're starting to get busy, and this plate will be going to a lot of stock shows coming up. We had 2 students that performed very well at the FCCLA Star events. One claimed one first, Sierra Wheeler second. Mrs. Judge is doing a good job of getting that going again. And then also, as I handed everybody, we are hosting the district basketball tournament here February 13th and 14th. That is us, Kremlin, and Covington Douglas. And then we also will have to be a sub-site for regionals February 19th, which will be that Thursday. And then the main site will be Ripley, with the area being at Enid. That's all I have. Thank you.
Reeves, do you have anything like add? How's things happening down at the elementary level?
Things are going well. Churches, we're extremely pleased how our first couple weeks went. Still, it's quiet. It's been real accommodating to us. Elementary is going to have a camp read-a-lot this Thursday at the Alfalfa County Fairgrounds, 5:30 to 7. Goes along with our Otis grant that we received for reading. We have to have a lady from the State Department come out and do a presentation. And then we're giving free books to the kids, and free hot dogs and drinks and chips. And we're providing a campground for them to read. And the speech team's coming to read with them, and the Rainbow Girls are coming.
Any problems at the Methodist Church with parking and traffic at all?
No, our pickup and drop-off's been great. A lot better than I anticipated. It goes really fast and smooth. Parents are, sticking with the plan and it's going great.
Oh, that's good. Because at the same time, still, we went over there, the courthouse closed up 2 parking lots.
Oh, yeah, but it hasn't affected us. We've only had 2 clogged toilets. So we were worried about the plumbing issues, so we're doing good.
One thing as far as logistics that really worried us initially about the Methodist Church was the courthouse date, Wednesday, when everybody's packed over there. Man, it seems to be rocking and rolling.
We also have Miss Oklahoma coming to visit the entire school on February 11th. And we have an Abe Lincoln dramatic presentation. Is that this Friday? February 6th at 1:30 in the auditorium.
We're holding the lead out before theater scene.
Public's invited to both of those.
That's the 6th.
February 6th at 1:30 is Abe Lincoln, and then February 11th at 1 is 1 p.m. is Miss Oklahoma.
I got good news, I got some more good news, and then I got bad news. And then I got some good news. As y'all requested, you wanted to see how life was working in Cherokee Public Schools instead of just being told that, we're well over where we're at. I'd kind of give you an estimate, preliminary estimate, and by all means, this is conservative. And it's conservative based on as if everything was going as the last 7 months have gone. So not to mention that there might be an emergency or things outside the scope of what we've done. But in the last 4 years or 3 years, we know that, life in Cherokee Public Schools financially would operate in some kind of manner. What I've given you is basically a breakdown of our revenues. And what you got in this column is what the estimate of needs. If you remember that sheet and you've looked at it thoroughly every night for the last 6 months or so, on spare reading, this is where these numbers have come from. somewhere on that sheet, you can find a corresponding number, okay? Projected revenue, that now that I look at it, is really not the correct term. It's really revenue that we've received. So, like, look at the first one. That's the ad valorem that was in the estimate of needs, $900,770.97. We collected $982,000, so we're over $81,000 there. So you can kind of see the progression, right, as you go up, down. I'm going to tell you that really none of that stuff matters till you get to the back page. And the only thing that really matters is these two numbers here, or really this number here, is the $5,612,074.42. This was the number that you can take right off the estimate of needs and say that we were going to collect based on last year's sums of less 10%, okay? The only other thing that you need to worry about is where the next deal says warrants issued and reserves. If you total that up, that would be $3.1 million. That's the estimated expenditures that we would have, okay? Means if you look at the estimate of needs, it would have been $3,056,000 something and other cents, okay? Those two figures add that up. As of today, we have already collected $5,719,609.01. So you can already see that we're well above what our anticipated estimate of needs revenue is going to be. Now, keep in mind, if you go back and look at your estimate of needs, and there's only two figures on page 7 and 8 that you really need to look at. You need to look at that number, and you need to look at that $3 million number, because they built in what your carryover was going to be, almost $2 million, if everything went to plan. All right? Now, moving on. Revenue received, this number here. Estimated carryover at this point, because I said it was already built in for you, was $2.6 million. Okay? Now, what we are still estimating to receive from here till the end of June. That means all the things that you see negative up here in state dedicated areas and over here in the other foundation areas. And then what I think is an average of gross production over the last 7 years, or 7 months, is we are looking to recover another $2,027,934.40. So at June 30th, 2015, your carryover is $4.7 million, conservatively, if everything goes the same. So when we come back and you're going to go, well, it's $300,000 off to the less, give me a little credit, okay? If it's about $3,000 or $400,000 to the plus, give me a little credit, okay? This is based on what I think gross production is going to do, and an average of gross production, okay? So you're looking at about $4.7 million, all right? Is that good news or bad news?
That's good.
Okay, the bad news right off the bat is the bond issue's coming in at $20 million over. So whatever Scott comes and tells you, it's going to be a lot better, because we revamped it and whatnot, it's not so bad, okay? No,
Sabotage, John.
stand up now. When he comes in and says it's going to be a little bit over, it's like it sounds so bad. But anyway, moving on, building fund. I'm not going to waste time with child nutrition right now. Honestly, I'm not. Building fund. What I want to bring out, what I really want to emphasize is this: is last year's carryover was only $25,989.28, and then with that carryover, we turned around and purchased property for $85,000. Okay. So we're in a hole. Since we got our check in, and we've been operating in a hole since July, our balance is actually $37,057.35. Revenues that we have not collected as of yet is estimated at $15,520.24. And then just a random guess, and I don't know if you all realize this or not, but for 10 years, we're in an agreement with the cell tower. We get $500 a month. So it gives us, $500 for each month, plus some changes in taxes and whatnot. It gives us a little over $5,000. So in June 30th, you're looking on or about $57,577 conservatively.
How much?
$57,577.59. Now, my question I'm going to pose to you all is this: if we didn't spend that $85,000, where would we be now? Okay, and really, you'd be sitting at about $142,000 in building fund. All right, which is well beyond what we've done in the past. The $118,000 that we received is based on 2 years ago, 2013 valuation at $24 million. Next year will be, you're looking at 5 mills based on $32 million, and it's going to be roughly around $160,000 that you're looking at. So if you can look at, the 160 plus the 57,000, you're going to put yourself over $200,000 for the next year. Legitimate. I mean, we have that budgeted right now. You got about a $200,000 building fund budget, but that was ghostly money. It wasn't there. This is real money that you're going to have. And what my point is this, and I'm going to talk about a lot of things and hopefully bring around the corner like this, is this. I've talked to you for the last 8 months, maybe longer, maybe a year, and I've always said, if you go back and look at the video of the bond issue, I've always said we're going to have to be creative and about getting the monies that we want to get the facilities that we want. Now, I'm going to be honest. If somebody can come to me and said, Mr. Ellis, you said we could get what we wanted for that exact money, and I said, yes, we can, and I presented it like we could, I'm sorry, because I don't think I've ever tried to present that the bond issue would cover the extent of what I saw Cherokee Public Schools in 50 years. What I saw was, and I keep telling people this, go to DCLA, look at their track and field, and that's what you would have got. And is that what you want? And I don't know how many of you have been by Lamont to know, but it's a nice track that's been ate up by grass. It's a subpar bleachers. It's just there to take up space, and they have lights that we like. Okay, so if that's what we really wanted, then we could have got that. All right, track, whatever. And I've always said, the last time that they tried to pass the bond issue, all they were getting was the track. I mean, all you were getting was the surface. They were having the in-kind service, the dirt work, and I don't think really we had a capacity to understand the scope and magnitude of what just the track does. The other part is, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put us in a position to get the scope within realm of what we want. Do I want all the bells and whistles? I'm going to be the first to say yes. And I'm going to say, I didn't set that norm. We set that norm 30 years ago by building a gym that seats more people than what our town has. Now, we were able to do that because of insurance and bond money. But as far as things that have been good for the school, both financially and reputation, it's gone well beyond that. The return that we've got financially off that has been well more than what we anticipated. And what we got to do as board members is realize what we are going to do today is the financial return that we're going to get, not the minute that track is open or the football field is open, when the keys are turned over to us, but it's what happens 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And I know what the arguments are. Any of you been out in the community, you know what the arguments are, but none of us can predict the future. We can only take what we know for certain and what we know that we've traveled, the roads we've traveled down before, and it's going to put us in a better place. Now, with saying that, what I'm getting at is this. People are going to see, lives are going to get difficult for you as board members because they're going to see that $4.7 million carryover and know, when we say no about something, it's going to have to come with a lengthy explanation. When people come to us and go, why can't we do this, and see $4.7 million, they're going to say, but why? You got the money. That's going to be their comeback. Okay? It's also the first thing that people are going to sit there and say, oh, you got the money. Why don't you just use that to cover, why do you have to do the bond issue when you had the $4.7 million? Well, first of all, what people don't know is general fund money expenditures cannot be towards sports affiliated things. And the best way I can say that is it's got to be towards instructional routines and daily instructional materials. Are there things in the bond issue that could be covered in the general fund? Yes, there is. It would be things like the lights in the auditorium. It would be things maybe like the seats in the auditorium. It would be things that we could put towards that, yes, we are using that in an instructional capacity. You see where I'm going with that. The things we got to think about, though, is the things that if we go to an alternative source of funding, how can we do that? Is out of the building fund. Building fund is everything that, is in the capacity of facilities. In the past, when I first got here, Judy was instructed to put as many salaries as we could in the building fund. Okay? Now, didn't we? We put everybody we could in building. That was one way we helped recover where we're at. My solution is that we don't do any more salaries out of building fund because we can fund it out of general fund. So there's one way to help offset what's coming out of the building fund. What I am suggesting and what I'm recommending is we analyze the building fund and see what lease purchase payments could be made up to $90,000 to $100,000. Now that, mind you, has to be done with some creativity in mind, meaning that maybe we take a down payment or a large payment out of the bond issue and put down to it so we don't have to pay off so many years. I'm talking 5 to 6 years. Okay? Because this is what I want you to think about. I just told you that next year will be 5 mills at $32 million. The next year, I imagine, with all the other things that are left, now mind you, people get things confused when they sit there and think the barrel of oil going down is going to hurt us. Yes, it will, in this sense. Speculation, meaning how many rigs are going to be out there, what they're going to do. What it's not going to hurt is the things they left behind. They had to build pipelines. They had to build compressor stations. They had to build locations. All that stuff is on the tax rolls. The new houses have been built. We went from probably one house in 10 years being built to 10 houses in 1 year being built. All that's added to your tax roll. So what I'm getting at is for 25 years, you all at Cherokee Public Schools, and this was when Jeff was here, was $10 to $11,000 $1 million in assessed valuation. If I'm guessing, in the next 10 to 20 years, you won't see below $27 million again. It'll always stay there. So what you're looking at is how do we receive monies? Well, we receive monies, 5 mills for building fund at least. At 27 or 24 million, you're looking at $120,000 each year. If you go up to 32 million, you're looking at 160. This next year, you're probably going to go up. Once Jiffy Trip comes online in September and they're tax-based or taxed against, that's a $5 million facility. You're going to see trends going up as far as your tax base goes. So what you're going to have to do is decide what your budget is out of building fund and what you can do to create not only a general carryover for each year, but what can be basically paid out of with that building fund. And the last thing I want you all to speculate or think about a little bit is the whole purpose of this bond issue was we were creating a MAPS-like bond issue, meaning that we knew that bond issues would be rolling off the table. 2008 will be rolling off in 2 or 3 years. 2011 will be rolling off in 2 or 3 years. You'll have at least 2 of these current bond issues rolling off the tax table in 2 to 4 years. So in 3 years, the discussion should be our next bond issue. Matter of fact, the minute that they give us the okay and we sign off that it's done, we should actually start formulating what our next projects are at the same tax rate, because we won't have to raise it again, and our valuation rate will go up, so we will have more money construction-wise than we've had this time to do the bond issue that we did this time. So in doing that, what we've done is looked at the project and the things that we can live with now, the things that we can't necessarily in the scope put in, and the things that we're going to have to address when we come around the second time. And remember, when I was playing with this idea and I was formulating these ideas out to the public, we were discussing doing, bond issues over the next 12 to 15 years. And so we really do need to look at the bigger picture, not look at necessarily why isn't it done right now, because everything that we've been planning and all the things that, we have thrown at the architects and the construction guys and the civil guys, and they're wanting to know why, we're changing this or we did this or whatnot. It's so we're in a place in 50 years, not that we just got something to get something and go from that. Do you all have any questions about this? The last thing I'm going to say is, in thinking about some of these projects,